Hi everyone, welcome back to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today, we are going to discuss Class 8 Geography NCERT, Chapter 6 Human Resources. Now, it is people with their demands and abilities that turns them into resources. Hence, human resource is the ultimate resource. Okay, so human resource is the ultimate resource. Healthy, educated, and motivated people develop resources as per the requirements. Okay, so the healthy, educated, and motivated people. So these people make developed resources as per their requirements. Human resource, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. Okay, so like the other resources, human resources are different. Okay, because they differ in their educational skills, age, and sex. Okay, so these are some factors that differ human resources from other resources. The number and characteristics also keep changing. Now, distribution of population. The way in which people are spread across the earth surface is known as pattern of population distribution. So the way in which people are spread, okay, these people are spread across the earth surface, and this is known as the pattern of population distribution. More than 90% of the world's population live in about 30% of the land surface. Okay, so more than 90% are live in only 30% land area. Now, some areas are very crowded and some are sparsely populated. We know the plain areas, that is the Ganga Brahmaputra plains. So these are very crowded area, and some places like the mountain regions. Okay, so in these regions the population are very low. So that's it. That's here. That is, some areas are very crowded and some are sparsely populated. The crowded areas are South and Southeast Asia, Europe, and Northeastern North America. Okay, so these are some places of crowded areas, which are the South and Southeast Asia, Europe, and Northeastern North America. Now, very few people live in high latitude areas, tropical deserts, high mountains, and areas of equatorial forest. Okay, so in some peoples or very few peoples live in the high latitude areas, then tropical deserts, high mountains, and areas of equatorial forest. Many more people live in north of the equator than south of the equator. So most of the people live in north of the equator than the south of the equator. Almost 3/4 of the world's people live in two continents, that is Asia and Africa. Okay, so more than or almost 3/4. Okay, 3/4 of the world's population live in only two countries, that is Asia and Africa. 60% of the world's people stay in just 10 countries. All of them have more than 100 million people. Okay, so the 60% of the world's population or world's people, they live or they stay in just 10 countries. Okay, and these 10 countries have more than 100 million people. Okay, so that is the distribution of population. Now, what is density of population? Population density is the number of people living in a unit area of the earth's surface. Okay, so what is population density? It is the number of people, okay, number of people living in a unit area of the earth's surface. That is called population density. It is normally expressed as per square kilometer. So the density of the population or the population density is expressed as in square kilometer. The average density of population in the whole world is 51% per square kilometer. So the average density, okay, the average density of the population in whole world, that is 51% per square kilometer. That is, in 1 square kilometer there will be 51 persons. South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by East and Southeast Asia. Okay, so the South Central Asia has the highest density of population, followed by the East and Southeast Asia. Now, factors affecting distribution of population. First one is geographical factors. That is topography. What is topography? Mainly, the people always prefer to live on plains rather than mountains and plateaus because these areas are suitable for farming, manufacturing, and service activities. Okay, we already discussed that because the people always prefer to live in plains areas, okay, rather than mountain and plateaus, because the plain areas are suitable for farming, manufacturing and service activities. Okay, so that's why people mostly choose the plain areas. The Ganga Plain are the most densely populated areas of the world, while mountains like Andes, Alps, and Himalayas are sparsely populated. Okay, so the Ganga Plain have a high population. That is, the population density is very high, and some places or some mountains like Andes, Alps, and Himalayas, the population was very less or very low. They are sparsely populated. That is the topography. Okay, how topography affect the distribution of population. Second one is how climate affect the distribution of population. People usually avoid extreme climates that are very hot or very cold, like Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada, and Antarctica. Okay, so people normally or usually avoid extreme climates, that is very hot and very cold. Okay, example, the Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada, and Antarctica. Now, third factor is soil. People always like to live in the fertile soiled area because that is suitable for agriculture. The fertile soil provide suitable land for agriculture. Fertile plains such as Ganga and Brahmaputra in India, Huanghe, Changjiang in China, and the Nile in Egypt are densely populated. So, the fertile plains, that is, the fertile soil provide suitable agricultural land, and in these plains, in these places or the fertile places, especially in Ganga Brahmaputra in India, Huanghe and Changjiang in China, and the Nile in Egypt. So these places are densely populated. Okay, that's the importance of soil or the fertility of soil. Next one is availability of water. People prefer to live in areas where fresh water, okay, not the point, fresh water is easily available. The river valleys of the world are densely populated while deserts have spare population. We know the river valleys of the world are densely populated, and most of the culture, okay, most of the civilizations are first explored in the river valleys. So it shows the importance of water. So people prefer to live in areas where fresh water are available. Okay. Next one is minerals. Areas with mineral deposits are more populated. Diamond mines of South Africa and discovery of oil in the Middle East lead to settling of people in these areas. Okay, so the areas with more minerals deposits. Okay, so people choose that places because it helps them for the job and wealth. So example, diamond mines of South Africa, then discovery of oil in the Middle East. Okay, this lead people to settle in these areas. Now, social, cultural and economic factors. We already discussed about the geographical factors, that is topography, climate, soil, water, minerals. Now, social, cultural and economic factors. First one is social factor. Areas of better housing, education and health facilities are more densely populated. Okay, so the areas with better housing, education and health facilities. So these areas are more densely populated. Example, Pune. Okay, in India, Pune is an example of social factor. How social factor contribute for the distribution of population. Okay, that's Pune example. Now, cultural. Places with religion or cultural significance attract people. Okay, so the places with cultural significance or the religion significance attract people. For example, Varanasi, Jerusalem and Vatican City. Okay, so these are some examples for the cultural factor. Now, economic. Industrial areas provide employment opportunities. Okay, so the industrial areas mainly provide for the employment of people. Large number of people are attracted to these areas. Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are very two densely populated areas. So in these areas, the industrial industries are more in these areas. So that's why the Osaka in Japan and Mumbai in India are two densely populated areas. Okay, so this is how social, cultural and economic factors contribute, or economic factors affecting the distribution of population. Next one is population change. The population change refers to change in number of people during a specific time. Okay, so what is population change? It's a change in number of people or number of persons during a specific time. The world population has not been stable. This is actually due to the changes in the number of births and deaths. For an extremely long period of human history, until the 1800s, the world's population grew steadily but slowly. Large numbers of babies were born, but they died early too. This was as there were no proper health facilities. Sufficient food was not available for all people. Farmers were not able to produce enough to meet the food requirements of all people. As a result, the total increase in population was very low. In 1804, the world's population reached 1 billion. 150 years later, that is in 1959, the world's population reached 3 billion. This is often called population explosion. So, in this situation or this condition is called a population explosion. In 1999, 40 years later, the population doubled to 6 billion. Okay, so in 1999, the population was 6 billion. The main reason for this growth was the better food supplies and medicines, and deaths were reducing. While the number of births still remained fairly high. Births are usually measured using the birth rate. Okay, so that is what is birth rate? Number of live births per 100,000 people. So that is called birth rate. So what is birth rate? The number of live births per 1,000 people. Now, deaths are usually measured using the death rate. So there are birth rate and the death rate. What is the death rate? It is the number of deaths per 1,000 people. Okay, birth rate is the number of live births per 1,000 people, and death rate is the number of deaths per 1,000 people. Next one is migration. Migration is the movement of people in and out of the area. Okay, so if some people came to an area or they left an area, then it's called migration. Okay, so the movement of people in and out. Okay, in and out of an area. This is called a migration. Births and deaths are the natural causes of population change. The difference between the birth rate and death rate of a country is called the natural growth rate. So what is natural growth rate? It is the difference between birth rate and death rate. Okay, so that is called a natural growth rate. Difference between birth rate and death rate. The population increase in the world is mainly due to a rapid increase in natural growth rate. Migration is another way by which population size changes. People may move within a country or between countries. Emigrants are people who leave a country. Immigrants are those who arrive in a country. So, who are emigrants? Emigrants are people who leave a country. Okay, so a person who leave a country is known as emigrant, and immigrants, they are those who arrive in a country. Countries like the United States of America and Australia have gained in number of immigration. Okay, so in migration or immigration. Okay, so in countries like USA and Australia, they have gained number of immigration. But Sudan is an example of a country that has experienced a loss in population number due to out-migration or emigration. Okay, so the USA and Australia experiencing immigration, but the Sudan experiencing out-migration or immigration. The general trend of international migration is from the less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. Okay, so what is the general trend? The general trend of international migration is from the less developed nations to the more developed nations in search of better employment opportunities. Within countries, large number of people may move from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, education and health facilities. Okay, these are factors which helps or which make people to move. Okay, so that's about this population change. Now, patterns of population change. Rates of population growth vary across the world. Although the world's total population is rising rapidly, not all countries are experiencing this growth. Some countries like Kenya have high population growth rates. They had both high birth rates and death rates. Now, with improving healthcare, death rates have fallen, but birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rates. In other countries like United Kingdom, the population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rates. Okay, so that is about the patterns of population change. Now, population composition. Population composition. How crowded a country is has little to do with its level of economic development. For example, both Bangladesh and Japan are very densely populated, but Japan is far more economically developed than Bangladesh. To understand the role of peoples as a resource, we need to know more about their qualities. People vary greatly in their age, sex, literacy level, and health condition, occupation, and income level. It is essential to understand these characteristics of the people. Population composition refers to the structure of population. So what is population composition? It refers to the structure of population. It refers to the structure of a population. The composition of population help us to know how many are males or females, which age group they belongs to, how educated they are, and what type of occupation they are employed in, and what their income levels and health conditions are. Okay, so these are the factors. That is, the composition of population help us to know about these factors or these things. That is, how many males or female, then which age group they belong to, then what is their educational qualification, what is their income level. So these are some factors. So these are some things which know by the composition of population. An interesting way of studying the population composition of a country is by looking at the population pyramid, also called an age-sex pyramid. Okay, so we can study the population composition of a country by the population pyramid or the age-sex pyramid. Now, a population pyramid shows the total population divided into various age groups. Example, 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years, etc. etc. And second one is the percentage of the total population subdivided into males and females in each of these groups. Okay. Now, look at this picture. It shows clearly. Here we can see the males and the female population and the difference of age, that is 0 to 4, then 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24. So like 70, 74. Okay. So that is the population pyramid. Now, the shape of the population pyramid tells the story of the people living in that particular country. The number of children, that is below 15 years, are shown at the bottom and reflect the level of births. Okay, so look at this picture. Here, the 0 to 4, and 5 to 9, and 10 to 14. These are called children. Okay, these are the age group of children. And their population is like this. Okay, this is the population of males. Okay, male children, and this is female children. Now, the size of the top shows the number of aged people, that is above 65 years, and reflect the number of deaths. The population pyramid also tells us how many dependents there are in a country. There are two groups of dependents: young dependents, that is aged below 15 years, and elderly dependents, that is aged over 65 years. Okay, so that is below 15 years and above 65 years. So they are also considered as the dependent age. Okay, because they depend other people. Look at this. This is above 65. That is 70 to 74. 65 to 69 and 70, 74. These are above 65. They are also dependent people. And here below 15 years, they are also dependent people. Those of the working age are economically active. So these people, okay, that is between the dependent people are the working people, okay, and they are economically active. The population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are high in a broad at the base and rapidly narrows towards the top. Okay, so if in a country, the population pyramid of a country in which birth and death rates both are a high is broad at the base. Okay, if the death rate and birth rates are high, then the its high is broad at the base and rapidly narrows towards the top. Okay, so it's broad base and narrow top. This is because although many children are born, a large percentage of them die in the infancy, relatively few become adults, and there are very few old people. This situation is typified by the pyramid shown for Kenya. In countries where death rates, that is especially among the very young, are decreasing, the pyramid is broad in the younger age groups because more infants survive the adulthood. This can be seen in the pyramid for India. Okay. Now, such population contain a relatively large number of young people, and which means a strong expenditure, strong and expanding labor force. In countries like Japan, low birth rates make the pyramid narrow at the base. Decreased death rates allow number of people to reach old age. Skilled, spirited and hopeful young people endowed with a positive outlook are the future of any nation. We in India are fortunate to have such resources. They must be educated and provided skills and opportunities to become able and productive. Okay, so that's about this chapter. If you have any doubts, you can comment below. For more videos, do like, share, subscribe.